What is up, traders? I need everybody to pay attention. I have 3 events and outcomes with those events that will make or break the rally in the short term. But before we get into that, my goal is to bring you a weekly watch list every Sunday, the week's expectations with my bias, daily videos, or videos every other day, depending on the market. We are coming into summer. Spring is ending. We have what I think is the last 2 weeks of real volatility, of real uncertainty. And as soon as we get these last 2 weeks out of the way, it's just going to be whatever groove the summer starts to kick in. It could be down. We could have a bearish summer. We just have to pay attention to these next 2 weeks. SPCX IPO is going to bring a lot of liquidity in. We're going to see how that plays out. I think all space stocks are going to get hammered. Do not be holding the bag. My aim with these videos is to bring you the most important news and events in the shortest amount of time, especially for the daily videos. The weekly watch list on Sunday are going to be a little longer, but I like to touch on the economy and data because it matters, but it doesn't matter. But it also matters. Just pointing out major events, and sometimes we'll give an expectation depending on the event, like earnings or data. If we are at a pivot point or the market is screaming something, I will lay it out and I will give my thoughts. I have been wrong many times before on these thoughts. I will be wrong again, but some things are just too blaring, like I think these next 2 weeks are. I think we're going to get a fake out and continue the rally all through summer, and we're going to get some heavy rotation from chips, from everything that is pumped up, memory, photonics. I think there is maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks of a good rally before we get Kevin Warsh. But realistically, we need the war to end. If you go back to my last video, you will see and hear that I said, I think the war could very well end today. I think today might be the last Taco Tuesday. The war could end tonight after the bell, and then whatever hot CPI inflation numbers we get, it's not even going to matter. But I said I want to keep these videos very small, very short, so straight to the point. Pay attention. We have CPI tomorrow, Oracle earnings tomorrow, PPI and Adobe earnings on Thursday, and we have Kevin Warsh's first FOMC. These 3 things, data, earnings, and leading into Kevin Warsh's FOMC and the interest rate decision, the data and earnings, we'll see how software can hold up. We'll see what software can do. But the data, if the war doesn't end, the data's hot, we're likely going to see a hawkish Kevin Warsh, and that will bring more downside pressure to the market. I hope you just paid attention to what I had told you. If we do not get a real ceasefire or if the war may not end, but we need to see a real strong step in the right direction for it to end. If we don't get that, and we see hot CPI data, which it likely will be, everybody knows that. We got high gas prices. Everybody knows what's going on. I don't really need to update you on that, especially if you're watching this channel, which I have 0 viewers. Nobody's watching this. But regardless, hot CPI with no war ending, bad. Hot CPI with war ending, who cares? CPI will eventually come down. Same with PPI. Oracle and Adobe will set the tone for the rest of IGV. So we really have to see what happens there in the software sector. All right. Also, we need to watch for any SpaceX IPO hiccups. We need to see if there's a Tesla merger, if that could immediately crush. If we see a really good SpaceX IPO, and let's say it happens this Friday, a really good SpaceX IPO, high prices, the stock just rips, and then we start getting SpaceX and Tesla mergers, all that money will transfer from SpaceX directly into Tesla. I have Tesla August calls, July calls. I have every month up until September, just so I don't miss that generational rally. They're all very far out the money and they're all very cheap. I kept size limited for now, and I am willing to average up. But it is Taco Tuesday. Watch for a bunch of swings intraday, not only for Trump, but for positioning for earnings, SpaceX, CPI, and Kevin Warsh next week. The three themes, +1, software, and then bonds and space. If we get the hot CPI, bonds are going to continue to go down. There are going to be rate cuts, and that will bring TLT down and will lift bond yields up. And so I am of the belief that regardless of the war, bonds will go down. Space, obviously, SpaceX IPO. The space sector has really been kind of crushed, actually. If you look at Rocket Lab, ASTS, Saidu, all the even small caps, nothing's really getting momentum. I do think we could see a pre-market pop coming up here pretty soon, but I'm not too confident. The space sector just looks dead. It looks muted. So I'm not too confident in anywhere in the space sector. I don't even care about it. There's so much more bigger things. Everybody kind of already took their profits, it seemed like, and they're just waiting to buy SpaceX. I think it's going to be a very crazy and unprecedented IPO. We're going to see how it goes. I think it could have, I don't know what could happen. I mean, there's nothing that's happened like it before in many years. But let's wrap this up. Trade ideas. I got 2.5 minutes. Google. I can't believe I was on the option chain the whole time. Google. Technical difficulties. Please hold. Google. Are we serious right now? I mean, the setup doesn't get much better than this. Is there more downside? Yes, but that is why I think going further out of the money, I think with all the volatility, these are at like 20 cents right now, 25 cents. The option contracts for 717, 500 call. I think with the TurboVac news that came out, or that's resurfacing for Google, and their new way to store memory, compressing 32 gigabytes down to 4 gigabytes. I think that is a huge advancement, and I think SanDisk, MU, and all the other memory, DRAM, MRAM, most of them will get sold off. I think you've already kind of started to see it, but Google right now is coming up on the 50 DMA, retesting all-time highs. We filled this gap. I mean, Google it looks great. I'm already positioned for this, and I do plan to add more. If we get some real momentum back up to the upside, like if we gap up above 368, 370, and we start to really move, I am not opposed to taking a daily or something like that. So keep Google. That is number one on my watch list. I think a lot of money is going to flow back into Google. A lot of great news has been coming out about Google, and I think we could definitely see new all-time highs again. This very well could be a month or a week, if everything is good and war ends, data's good. And rate cut expectations are muted or at least unchanged. Google is one of those ones that will outperform. I believe they've had a lot of news lately. Look into it. You never know. I'm just not really touching these anymore. After they've already ripped, I really think that we're going to keep coming down on these ones that have already went up. And I think Google is really going to take a lot of that market share. Could we come down? Of course. I don't know what's going to happen. I just play it day by day, and so should you. Adobe is one that's not listed on here, but I think it is very important for the software. I think we're at a very pivotal moment. This week could be a massive week. I don't like how this chart is really playing out, but I think that's also creating the FUD that everybody needs, or that Wall Street needs. They want you to start selling. They want you to psych you out. I think Adobe's a powerhouse, and I think they're going to crush it on their earnings. I think that's going to bring up the software market or sector. I really think we could gap up anywhere to 280, 300. I mean, even bigger, realistically. Above 320, that would be nice. Nobody expects, I don't think, software to do good. So I think a big outperform, a big beat. I think Google or Adobe will really take the heat. And that's on Thursday. We'll touch on Oracle. Oracle's the same. I just think it ran up too much. I don't know. It could very well do the same thing and reclaim former glory. I might take a real cheap play on this, $5, a 5-cent contract, just to have exposure to the upside, because you are coming up retesting the 200 moving average. Some setups are you just can't miss. You got to try. Uber. I'm not really sure what is going on with Uber, but it looks really nice to the downside. If we break below 69.50, I am going to start taking these 618, 67, or 66 put, depending on what's cheaper and what the chart is looking like at the time. I don't really think we're going to go too far lower than that, but I think it's great downside protection. And I think when you're hedging for downside, I think the best thing to do is find what already kind of looks better or looks bearish. Like if we have really bad data, we have rate hike expectations going up, what is already bearish will likely just continue and get more violent. And I think Uber is a great catalyst for that. I think we've had a couple down days, down weeks, if you can see right here. And then we've just went sideways or went right back up. But I don't think that's going to happen for too long, especially after we've had this nice spike up and then we just couldn't hold it and came right back down. And ever since then, it's just been straight down. So I think Uber 66, and I wouldn't push it past, if price goes below and those go in the money, especially this week, you better take your profits. But those are relatively cheap because of the time. So wrapping this up, TLT, I think regardless of what happens, I don't think people want American bonds right now. What are they buying is the $1 million question. But I am of the belief that we're going to get much lower bond prices. And I want to be positioned for that, especially if we get rate hike expectations, which is a very strong catalyst. And so I'm going to be looking at the July 78 or 77 puts. I hope we get one last nice little spike. If you see right here, we kind of have, if this formulates, if we get any short-term good news, I think we could bounce again and then possibly come up and take out some of the stop losses that are right here. But that's a far way away. If you can see, we have just continued. As soon as we start doing this, TLT just keeps going. TLT just keeps going. And just keeps going. If we get a pop, as a matter of fact, if we get a pop to 85, 85 and a half, I'm going to add some puts, and I hope the premiums reflect that. But sometimes when these pops happen and the move is already priced in, the move is already likely going to happen, the option contracts don't really reflect it. The market makers will keep those prices high. That way they can sell more of a premium to you because they already pretty much know what's going to happen. But that is it. Traders, good luck. I really hope this message finds you well. I hope you paid attention to the first 5 minutes of that breakdown. Pay attention to the data. Everything actually matters right now. And so we just have to keep our heads on a swivel. I love you. Good luck. Protect your capital. Stay safe.